Welcome to another episode of Larrikin Japan. Today I'd like to have a bit of a talk about if you're thinking of coming to Japan to live for a short term or a long term. So the best way is to go about it. So I think if you want to come just for a year or two, probably the easiest way is to teach English. You're not going to make a lot of money, you're going to just be breaking even each month by the time you pay your rent and your food and everything. But it is a good way to experience living here for a year or two. If you get onto some companies, they will sponsor your visa, so you don't have to worry about visas that much. They'll look after your visa for you. They'll organise accommodation for you to stay in and different things, so they make it a lot easier. You haven't got a real lot of problems, and you can come here, teach English for a year or two, experience Japan, head back to your own country and carry on with your life. So that's one way to do it. Now, if you're thinking of coming here for a long term, you're thinking of living here permanently, there are some different options. So last year we had, just let me check my notes now, we had nearly 37 million tourists come to Japan. Now, before Corona in 2019, the highest we had, that was the highest number we had, was nearly 32 million. So, tourism in Japan is going off the charts at the moment. And there's just more and more people coming to Japan all the time with the weak yen. It's pretty good value. Now, last year, tourists spent, they estimate, 52 billion dollars they spent in Japan. So that's a lot of pocket money was spent in Japan, $52 billion. So now there's a lot of jobs in the tourist industry. So, for example, in hotels, they're after people who can speak different languages, English and so on. So you can get jobs there. In hotels, doing cleaning and different things, working in restaurants. So many different jobs now popping up. A lot of places who weren't doing very good, they've had a big surge. A lot of new shops have opened up, a lot of new hotels are opening up. In Nagano, they're building a lot of big hotels and resorts and things like that. So there's a lot of money being spent in Japan now. A lot of companies are trying to cash in on this tourism. So it's really taking off. So if you've been in that industry, it's a great opportunity. You can get in and you've got experience and that sort of thing. And you're not teaching English. Teaching English 30, 40 years ago was a good thing. But now it's sort of dead. You're flat out making a living teaching English now. So you're better off doing other jobs. So working in the tourist industry, just wait till we get across the road here, it's a bit noisy. Here we go. Working in the tourist industry would be a good thing. And like the Gold Coast, I lived on the Gold Coast. That was the main industry on the Gold Coast, was tourism. Tours and different things. You might be a good skier, you can get to the ski resorts and do ski instructor and different things. So there is a lot of opportunity in that thing, in these fields, in the tourism. Now, the other way would be if you want to start up your own business. Now they've got a lot of startup visas, and you can get a startup visa, you can come to Japan and start your own business. I think you have 6 months to start with, and then you can extend it up to 2 years or something, and then you sort of, after that you'll sort of get permanent and residency and different things like that if your business takes off. So with these, startup visas. A lot of cities and that now are advertising, so they'll help you. I was looking the other day on the internet, Kyoto, they've got a thing, startup visas. Fukuoka down down the bottom there, that you can do there. They have, I seen they've got a web page about it. So there's all different things you can do about it. You just have to go through and check it out. But if you're going to do a business, you really want, I think you'd want to spend about a year or 18 months getting ready before you come over. First off, you really got to get into the Japanese, and you really got to study that. You know, to run a business here in Japan, you got to speak pretty good Japanese. You got to be able to read it. You got to be able to write it. All your forms and everything are all going to be in Japanese. So if you can't read and write Japanese, you're in big troubles. So that would be the main thing, is to get your Japanese up to speed. Another thing would be get your skill sets, what you want to do. You know, what sort of business you want to start, what sort of business you want to run. So you really got to be up to speed on your skills. So you really need to maybe do some courses and learn. Now let's say for instance you want to start up a cafe or a restaurant or something like that. Okay, what sort of food you're going to cook? You know, what's popular in Japan? You know, what taste do they like here? You know, it's very different. Restaurant here is very different to a restaurant in Australia or America. Now, I know one type of restaurant that seems to do pretty good here are like American-style diner sort of restaurants, hamburgers and that. They opened one up in Nishio a little while ago there. They had like it was an old manga cafe, and then they turned it into an American diner. It seems to be doing okay. Every time I go past there, there's always people in there eating and that. And their prices are a little bit high, I thought, you know, but they seem to be doing okay. But people want that sort of experience. But now that's going to work for your younger sort of set. But I don't think your older Japanese are going to go there. So depending on where you set up your restaurant as to what type of food you could serve. Like if you set up a restaurant in a village or a small town, I don't think an American style diner would do very good. You know, you have to do your research and that sort of thing about what would go well. Because you want your regulars and that sort of thing, and you want some tourists and that. So, you know, you don't want to be too far away from cities and that where you can get a lot of patrons to come. You don't want to be too far away, so people have to drive too far because they won't drive too far. So you have to be really careful on all this sort of thing. So you need to do a lot of research, and you need to get your skill sets for these sort of things. Now, you can also get like a business visa just to come over and run a business and that sort of thing. Start up a business and that. But to do one of them, you need about 5 million yen, I think it is. So that's about 50 grand Australian, or about 35 grand American, I'd reckon, something like that. So you have to have that. And then you have to be able to employ 2 people, I think it is. There's all different rules. You know, you have to really check out the visas on what the different things. There are companies who can help you do visas. I've seen them advertising. They start off at about, I think they charge you about, start off at about $700 or $800. It's about 70,000, 80,000 yen, and goes up to do visa applications and help you get a visa. So that is another opportunity. That is another thing to help you get visas. You can go through these companies, because I think it is pretty difficult. But if you come over to work in the tourist industry and that sort of thing, hotels would probably sponsor your visa. which wouldn't be a big problem. So you can probably get in like that, a bit like teaching English. You can, which is a big help if you don't have to fool around with visas and that sort of thing. It is a big thing. So there are a lot of opportunities at the moment, and the government is opening up the visas. They want more people to come to Japan because we are needing more workforce. We are needing more people in the workforce. And it is a good opportunity to come to Japan. And Japan is not a bad place to live. You know, okay, salaries aren't that expensive, but then everything else is not so expensive either. So it's pretty good. Anyway, that's it for today. Just a little bit of a talk about, you know, if you're thinking of coming to Japan, different ways to come and different things you could do. But now I really do think the tourist industry is not a bad idea. It'd be a lot better than teaching English, I tell you. But anyway, that's all for now. Till next time, have a good one.